Good day, everyone, and welcome to our virtual class of Edri 1, the teacher and the school curriculum. I am Shane Brother Pahonar, and let's learn together about Unit 3, From Framework to Practice, the teacher's role in the Philippine curriculum implementation. Letter D, Curriculum Localization. This lesson is about how teachers play a big role in making the curriculum meaningful. So first is, what is curriculum localization? Means modifying or adjusting the curriculum so it fits the student's community, culture, and daily life. According to UNESCO 2017, localized education makes learning relevant, engaging, and empowering because it connects school lessons to real life. DepEd defines it as modifying teachers' guide and learners' materials so they fit local culture, language, and environment. Curriculum localization means adapting the national curriculum to the local setting. So for example, if the national lesson says apples, but in your community, kids knows mangoes, so the teacher might use mangoes instead. So take a look at this. Local information plus local materials equals localized curriculum. So why is that so? For example, teaching fractions using local kakanin like suman or bibingka instead of foreign food. So based on the locality you are coming from or the students are coming from, you will base it on their locality or the local materials and local informations that they have so that they will grasp easily the content. So take a look at this. It states there that according to Undersecretary Dina Ocampo in the DepEd, is that you have to think of where you are so that the curriculum is relevant to you and to your students. So here are ways to localize. So teachers can localize by the following. First, using authentic materials like local products, stories, or songs. Second, connecting lessons to students' interests and issues. And third, allowing learners to raise problems in their community and think of solutions together. This makes learning student-centered and helps them apply knowledge to real life, according to DepEd Order Number 32, Series of 2015. Do you know that localization is based on needs? Yes, it is based on needs. Localization is not just about culture, but also about community needs. For example, in farming communities, lessons can use rice planting, and in fishing villages, lessons can use local fishing practices. This makes education flexible, creative, and useful in solving local problems. So here are examples in the Philippines, Caraga region. So in 2016, DepEd Caraga trained teachers to localize Filipino lessons for grade 1 to 3. So teachers analyze the curriculum, pick content to localize, then design the local lessons, and tested them. So for example, using local stories and familiar words in Filipino lessons. So this helps children connect more with the subject. Next example would be Indigenous Peoples Education or the IPED. So DepEd created the Indigenous People Education Framework in 2011. So it integrates indigenous knowledge systems and practices or the IKSPs into the curriculum. So for example, IP students learn through their mother tongue and cultural traditions. So this sustains their identity while still meeting the curriculum goals. How teachers implement localization? So teachers can, first, use local names, cases, and settings in that example. Use community-based materials like fruits, crafts, tools, and so on. Then, translate stories into the learner's language, for example, the MTB-MLE. Here's an example. Use watermelon or kakanin when teaching fractions. This makes abstract lessons concrete and familiar to students. So I have here some examples of curriculum localization by subject areas. So first is math or mathematics. You can use jeep, tricycle, or kariton wheels to explain ratio. In Araling Panlipunan, you can use photos from the Japanese occupation in the community. And in music or PE, teach folk dances like itik-itik from the locality or what is the dances found in the locality. In science, you can identify constellations using local star names plus Greek names. These examples make subjects relevant and easier to grasp by students. Key functions and significance of curriculum localization. First, relevance and engagement. Localization makes lessons relatable to students. When examples came from their own community, culture, and daily life, students understand faster and enjoy learning more. According to UNESCO 2017, Localized education boosts students' engagement because learners see the lessons as part of their own lives. Second, inclusivity. Localization ensures all learners feel included regardless of cultural language and background. For example, using mother tongue-based multilingual education so children learn first in their own language. This respects diversity, especially for indigenous peoples or IPs and learners in remote areas. DepEd 2011 emphasizes inclusivity in its Indigenous Peoples Education Curriculum Framework, or IPED. The third one is teacher empowerment. Of course, teachers gain flexibility to design lessons based on what their students need. They are not just following the book, but creating meaningful activities. This boosts teachers' creativity and confidence, making them curriculum innovators rather than passive implementers. According to Cummings 2015, localized teaching empowers teachers to adapt and to improve the curriculum. The fourth one is the community engagement. Localization allows schools to connect with the community as well. Parents, elders, and local leaders can share their knowledge and resources. Here's an example. Farmers teaching about planting seasons in science lessons, or might be elders sharing folktales in Filipino classes. So this strengthens school community partnerships and makes education a shared responsibility. And last, the fifth one, policy support. Localization is supported by DepEd policies through the Bureau of Curriculum Development. For example, DepEd Order No. 32 Series of 2015 adopts curriculum contextualization and localization in K-12. This ensures teachers are guided and supported by law in adapting lessons. Policy support also means localized teaching is recognized, encouraged, and sustained nationwide. In conclusion, curriculum localization makes learning meaningful because it connects to real life, inclusive because it respects culture and language, and practical because it prepares students for real challenges. Please do remember that as teachers and future teachers, our role is to be creative, resourceful, and culturally sensitive so students can learn better in the classroom. This is Shane Brother Ponor, and I hope you learned something today. Thank you and God bless.